Hello, everybody. Henry, do you remember when we were sitting exactly a year ago on the last and first Berlin NOAH conference in this hotel over there? We were a tiny little shareholder, 9% of Business Insider, and we had a kind of visionary strategy discussion, and we came to the conclusion that a much closer relationship could work out, and in the end we acquired 97% of Business Insider. And since then it's a great partnership. But Henry, to start our conversation, just one question. I mean, Business Insider is a journalistic brand. And if I'm listening to people these days talking about journalism, about content, it reminds me a bit of people talking about horse carriages at the beginning of the 20th century. So tell me, why is journalism sexy?
Well, so first, to go back to our meeting, I was very nervous. I was told, Mathias, he's very smart and very tall, and you're going to meet him, and it turned out you were very smart and tall, and it worked from there, so it was excellent. And this is bringing back very good memories. So yes, for the last 10 years, especially in the United States, everyone has been hand-wringing about journalism. It's so terrible. Newspapers are under pressure. The world is going to be terrible when newspapers die. What's really happening is that you have this incredible golden age for digital journalism. It's very powerful. It is the richest and most powerful journalistic medium that has ever been created. We had a very profound moment in the United States very recently where the number of people employed in digital journalism is now greater than the number of people employed in the newspaper industry, in part because newspapers have come down, but digital is growing very, very rapidly. So we're in the midst of this big change. Over the last 20 years, really the transition has been from print to digital. Over the next 20 years, the transition will be from TV to digital. And ultimately, the successful journalistic digital brands will be producing full-on video, television, photographs, articles, pretty much everything that is now produced in the journalistic world. And we're already seeing some companies headed that way. Actually, so it's a great time to be a journalist.
No, actually, the idea is that we have a controversial debate here, but in that case, I totally agree, no surprise. But I truly think that digital journalism is not only going to be more compelling because it can be, from an aesthetic and creative point of view, a lot more innovative and diverse. It can be more profound. It can be interactive. It can take advantage of the intelligence of the readers and so on. There are many reasons why digital journalism simply is going to be better than analog journalism, but I think also it's going to be a better business model. The only thing is most of the traditional publishers that we know are going to disappear, but not journalism. I think there's a new, as you said, a new founding era of digital native companies that will step by step replace most of the analog players, and that's the exciting situation that we are in. You are now at the moment really trying to enlarge the brand of Business Insider and to shape a true digital media company out of Business Insider. Can you explain the audience a little bit your thoughts and also the concrete measures that you have taken?
So we started Business Insider about 8 years ago. The philosophy that we had was that the journalistic model would evolve in the same way the television model evolved, which is that it would be completely different from both print and, in this case, television. The early television journalism was basically pick up a newspaper and read it in front of a camera. And very quickly, journalists realized, wow, you actually do a lot of very exciting and cool new things. You can get the camera out and show exciting things happening, and then you have the voiceover. A very different type of journalism evolved for television, but one that went on to become incredibly influential and powerful, even though it was different. And it's worth noting that all that time, print journalists were saying, oh, television journalism is just terrible. It's a lesser form. The smart people are writers. Meanwhile, television journalism has gone on to be this incredible thing. So our philosophy was it's probably going to be the same in digital. A new form of storytelling will evolve, a new form of distribution, a new economic model. Instead of trying to recreate a newspaper and just post it online, let's figure out what the native digital journalism is going to look like. And that approach lucky for us, has been very successful. We had a lot of ideas that did not work at all. We tried to stop doing them. We had a lot of ideas that did work, and we kept doing more and more of them. And we've seen the medium evolve from text to fully rich photographs. Now we're in a video era, which is every bit as exciting as what's come before. But approaching it natively has been a huge advantage for us, and not trying to protect what we've always done, just trying to take full advantage of the medium. And ultimately, I think that all companies will move in that direction.
We are very proud that just Tech Insider has achieved in a very short period of time tremendous traffic, and particularly a lot of video views. The whole group is generating more than 1 billion video views per month. But how is that going to be monetized? How do we make money with that?
Well, so far, for digital journalism sites, the business model has been about either having a subscription or bringing people back to the site to view advertising. Increasingly, what's happening is that companies are distributing stories where people are. They are on different platforms like Facebook or Snapchat or Pinterest or other platforms, and you want to put the stories where people are. Then the question is, very good one, how do you monetize that? Part of what's likely to happen, we think, is that some of the big platforms like Facebook will start sharing revenue with the content providers who produce content that the users of Facebook provide or see as very valuable. And that's already starting to happen. Facebook is working with a lot of publishers and producers, especially on video, and there's now meaningful revenue. And ultimately, we think that relationship will be similar to a cable network and a cable producer, where both are necessary. It will be very much in Facebook's interest to have great content across the platform, and that they will start to share some of their revenue, even if somebody doesn't actually come back to the site.
Not only share revenue, they may even go a step further and sooner or later pay money to certain content categories and content qualities that they want to distribute. I'm very optimistic that we are not entering a phase in digital publishing where you have the smart pipe and the dumb content producer. That would only happen if we end up with a true monopoly of distribution. Then, of course, everybody who's producing content needs distribution, and the distributor defines the terms. But it doesn't look like that. We have Amazon that needs content, we have Apple that needs content, we have Samsung that needs content, we have Google that needs content, we have Facebook that needs content, we have Pinterest that needs content, we have Snapchat that needs content, and that is a fascinating destination for the millennials. And they all need the same thing, and we are actually, in the midterm, I think in a very good position to shape smart deals with all these distribution platforms in order to take a share of ad revenues, or simply to shape other deals for certain content that they need as a distinguishing factor.
Yes, but let's be clear who is in charge of these negotiations. At this point, it is Facebook, at least in the United States, Facebook, Snapchat, they're driving them. Over time, though, as publishers and producers gain scale, as, for example, BuzzFeed starts to account for a larger and larger percentage of the views of videos on Facebook, BuzzFeed will have more leverage. They will be able to say to Facebook, look, we need a little bit more money, please, or we will go to another platform.
Yeah, that depends on how strong the content producers get, but I think more importantly, it really depends how much competition we have among the platforms. If there are quasi-monopolies, we have in a bad situation. If there's true competition, I think it's going to work well. But
and the great news with that is that the web is the most ubiquitous platform there is. Yeah. And if a particular platform decides not going to have your stuff on it, and the content is very strong, it's always a click away for everybody in the world. So there is a way to always get around any platform that is not choosing to partner.
I mean, in the long run, it looks pretty simple. Where there is attention, there the money will follow. And I think that is absolutely true for great content that people really want and need. So I think we shouldn't be worried about that. But there is another worry that is on people's mind. That's the ad blocker thing. How do you think about that? What are your experience with ad blocking?
Well, I think this is, when you step back from ad blocking, this is a situation that has evolved because you have 3 completely separate entities that are creating the ads and then delivering the ads, whereas before it was a single publisher had full control over everything. You could make sure the ads were a good experience. Now The advertising is often separate from the publisher. We have a new model where people are charged for the data on their phone. Sometimes advertisers have produced ads that are very large. They use a lot of data. The recipient has to pay for this. They didn't ask for the ads. So it's easy to see where the ad blocking has come from, and it's easy to see how people justify using it. Say, look, I'm sorry, I'm not going to pay for it. I don't want that. All I want is the story. But it's also easy to go down the road and say, okay, if everybody uses an ad blocker, we know what's going to happen, which is 90% of the content that is consumed is going to disappear. Most people don't want that to happen. What is starting to happen now is that smart publishers are saying, look, let's offer a choice. First, let's serve more responsible ads, so we respect the user. But second, let's offer a choice, which is we appreciate that you want to read the story. You can't read the story unless you see the ads. And by the way, we care we're not going to shove an ad that is a horrible experience for you. And a lot of folks are saying that sounds like a fair trade. The other thing that's happening is subscriptions are really starting to see a boom because with Netflix and others, some people would prefer to pay for no ads in the environment, and that is a great experience.
We have tested it with Build, this thing, no ads, no content, and it was a surprising success. 80% of the users deinstalled the ad blocker. We have increased the monetizable reach significantly. It was business-wise a huge success. And another healthy effect of this whole ad blocker thing, I'm deeply convinced that ad blockers are not going to be a game changer, but they may have a positive impact because they're changing the quality of ads. I think online ads are still very unpleasant for the consumer. You have to watch a video, an ad video that you don't want to see before you see the video that you're actually interested in. It's like doing a homework because before you can enjoy what you want to enjoy. I don't like that. And also the banner ads, you have to click 5 times to get rid of it. It's all not very convenient. So I think we have better forms to present digital advertising. It needs to be more consumer friendly. The loading times may not suffer from that. And simply advertising needs to be a lot more creative. And perhaps in that respect, it has a positive impact on the whole ecosystem, I think.
So we have this situation in the United States right now where a very famous technology billionaire, Peter Thiel, who I believe is in Berlin, is secretly funding lawsuits against a media company, Gawker Media. In the United States right now, New York sees this as an outrage. Gawker should be able to say whatever they want. Silicon Valley says, no, wait. Gawker was unfair and mean and outrageous. Peter Thiel, good job, put them out of business. You run lots and lots of publications. People threaten you all the time. Who's right, Peter Thiel or Gawker Media?
Well, I have a very contrarian view here. I don't get the whole debate. I mean, I'm the most outspoken defender of freedom of expression, I think, at least in Germany. I'm really, truly fighting for it. But if somebody thinks that a publisher has harmed the limits of privacy rights or has done something illegal or has disclosed something untrue or something true that is something that you may not do, you ask a court. That's how it goes in a country under the rule of law. And sometimes the court says the publisher was right. Sometimes they say, no, we are experiencing that every day. We are sued every week a couple of times. We are used to that. So I cannot see why it is a scandal if somebody is asking a court and is supporting other people who cannot afford to do a case that costs double-digit million amount of money. So I don't see the scandal. I think that's how it is in a democracy.
So we agree in part, which is that I think you can do great journalism without being nasty and without personal, and a lot of what Gawker and Valleywag did, especially many years ago, was very mean and nasty, and it's very understandable why Silicon Valley is so angry at the company. I think what other people object to with Peter Thiel, though, is that he didn't just say, I will fund a lawsuit. He hired an attorney to find people to sue Gawker Media, and he did it in secret. So would it be better for him to say, look, I think what you're doing is terrible. I want you to know that I am going to fund anybody who wants to sue you, and until you change and start to be fair, I'm going to try to put you out of business. So it's the secrecy that bothers a lot of people.
There was a long question, and I have a short answer. Yes, they would have been better.
It would have been better. OK.
So, Henry, what is on top of your mind at the moment? Paid content, is it going to work for Business Insider Intelligence?
Paid content is definitely going to work. There is a real change in the last 3 years to tolerance, and in fact, eagerness for subscriptions. 5 years ago, you talk to most pundits, they would say, oh, you can't charge for anything. And then you had Spotify and many others show, no, actually, people are happy to pay for things that they find with real value. What we're seeing with the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and others is that people actually do like to subscribe to publications they like. You have to produce great stuff that has value, but it's becoming very common. Yeah. Netflix is a wonderful model, so we're very optimistic about subscriptions.
I agree, but I have an additional question, Henry. I'm a CEO, a former journalist. You are acting journalist. I think in our conversation, I have asked 9 out of 10 questions. You have asked 1. Why don't you ask a question?
I read in the Wall Street Journal recently that you have a huge United States domination plan. Can you lay that out for us? I believe, in fact...
I can do it in just 1 hour.
I must say, what you said was, we will be the biggest digital publisher in the United States.
No, sorry. I said we are already the biggest digital publisher in Europe with 200 million uniques, more than twice as big as the next biggest. And our goal is to expand beyond Europe. And beyond Europe, the US is the biggest and most attractive media market in the world. That's where the big sharks are swimming. We have to be very careful. We have prepared that for many, many years. We have now done in the last 2 years, 12 investments ranging from, I think Airbnb was the first investment that we did, and then from Jaunt Media, Mike.com, now this Thrillist, Livingly Media, Aussie, to Business Insider, by far the biggest and most important, where we have the highest expectations, and I want to put a bit of pressure on your shoulders, but we are very confident. And of course, our goal is to be, we have said that many years ago, the leading digital publisher. What that means, I mean, if it means in the US in 2 years or whenever, we will see. But we are ambitious, and let's try to get as far as we can get. But US is a top priority for us. It's a great market.
So you are a very rich, powerful global media company.
No, we are a tiny little dwarf.
Are you now going to buy many more companies in the United States? Will I soon have a new boss?
No, I think we have made a lot of investments, and we now want to get proof of concept. We will work on fast growth. We will work in the next step on monetization, sales, revenues, business models that work. And then we will, if it's a proven business model, if we have profitable cases, and I think we will have very soon, then we make the next steps, be it organic, like the update project that we did exclusively for Samsung, and that is now pre-installed on all Samsung devices in 4 countries, in England, France, Poland, and Germany, and is doing extremely well. Has achieved, I mean, really, really encouraging numbers in the first month of its existence. That can be a route to go, organic launches, but also other acquisitions. We will not run out of ideas, but at the moment the focus is on execution and proof of concept.
Great.
I think, Henry, we are
the warm-up act.
Sooner or later quit, because we are the warm-up act.
Exactly.
And it was a pleasure.
Absolutely.
And
thank you, everybody. Great to be here.
At the party.